So we're continuing with the SPR course with Alex and Jared from Shooter Symposium. But before we dive into that, big thank you to Big Tex Ordnance, again, who made all this happen, who got me in, and who is sponsoring all these videos to make them happen. So again, thank you, Big Tex Ordnance. Use the links down below. Use the code. Go show them some love and some support. Now, in this episode, Alex is talking about fundamentals from the prone position and then setting up range cards. There's a lot of really good info in here. And I will come back in at the end to give you guys some feedback and a little bit of a recap.
So a solid prone position, I'll demo it here in a second, is going to look like this. You'll be legs spread, heels flat, gun in line with the strong side of your spine. To have a handshake firm grip on your pistol grip. If you're used to shooting kind of a light grip with maybe thumb off to the side, that's not what I want. We're talking gas guns. We got a lot of movement in here. I want to control this gun. How hard do I squeeze? All right, so you ever like met that guy that like had to like prove a point, like he was super extra with a handshake grip? Not that guy. But you met the guy that was like a strong hand. Not that guy either. What I like to say is, like, you know, the first time you met your father-in-law, like you didn't want to seem extra, but you want to let him know there's another man in the room, like kind of that level, okay? We get a good grip on there and you're good to go. But once we build that position, the next thing we want to focus on is setting our natural point of aim. Natural point of aim is going to be when we are at looking at your target, when you take a deep breath in and relax. Everybody do that with me one time. In, relax, push the rest out. See how you can go beyond that? So where you stop naturally, that is your natural respiratory pause of your natural respiratory cycle. It means your lungs have deflated to just a baseline volume and still leaves vacuum in there. Has anybody had the wind knocked out of them before? Or seen tensional pneumothorax? What that is you've actually pushed the rest of that wind out. Your lung has no vacuum to open back up. So when we get to that bottom of that natural respiratory cycle in our natural respiratory pause, we should be sitting with the reticle perfectly on the target in both elevation and wind. All right, if we are off the target left or right, we're going to shift our hips the direction we're off. So if we're off right, hips right, we'll pull the muzzle back to the left. If we're off left, hips left, we'll pull the muzzle back to the right. Forward or back is going to be done by either slightly pushing or pulling your hips back or forward, okay? So if you're low, pull your hips back, you'll come high. If you're high, push forward with your toes, you'll come down. Things I would prefer not to see, especially with this lip here, is you driving into or loading your bipods. All right, that bipod load should come only from your shoulder to stock connection. If you start to push into these supports, a lot of these rails are fairly light. Like that one's got, I don't know, like less metal than some thongs I've seen, right? Like that's going to have a lot of flex. That's a 15-inch rail sitting on the barrel nut. It's a 15-inch pipe wrench now, okay? The persuader that's going to push that barrel nut and start to shift that left or right. I'm sorry, up or down usually, okay? And we'll start to see some crazy straining with harmonics from that. So try not to. Keep like, you know, about 6 to 8 inches off that front there and you should be good. All right. Once we're there, all right, we're going to set our natural point of aim with our rear bag low. What I mean by this, and I'll demo it for you, is as I take a deep breath in, right, that buttstock's going to come up, that reticle is going to go down. I'm going to set up that good 2/3 grip with the rear bag, and then as I breathe out and drive my face into the bag and compress, that reticle will come up and stop directly on the target with all of the media compressed, so that my first shot will be good, but the durability of the position will also be there. So your additional follow-up shots will be good without having to rebuild your position every time. I do a slight reset. You'll see me as I take quick little half breaths, shot to shot. Quick breath, reset, breathe out, fire. Quick breath, reset, breathe out, fire. And you'll develop a rhythm. That rhythm can get pretty quick. You know, at these distances today, I think most of you will be down to somewhere between 0.3 and 0.5 seconds per shots at distances of 300 to 500 yards, okay? So that's what we're going to be going for. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about fundamentals-wise before we kick this off, and I will do a live demo of this where you can see it, is going to be trigger control. All right, so who here was shooting Go Fast pistol carbine the last couple of days? All right, good chunk of you. Not you guys, I know. You guys have heard this. So you're like, man, fucking all these new guys, all right? Go Fast pistol trigger, or excuse me, Go Fast trigger manipulations, typically curled, race to reset, right? We're trying to beat that gun back into battery so as it comes back on target, we're ready to fire, okay? The flip side is, like how a lot of us were taught coming up in prescribed shooting programs like the military, which was that ride to reset, right? Bang, painfully slow ride until you hit that audible or tactile click. I'm gonna ask you to find somewhere in the middle what we call trapping the trigger. Trapping the trigger is you pinning that trigger straight into the rear and driving that gun through recoil, meaning I want you to pretend that that bullet is wire guided like a tow missile. I want you driving the reticle through the center of your target until the gun stops moving. As soon as the gun stops moving, and I'm talking not a millisecond after, it's race to reset time. Off the trigger, back on the trigger. So you see how it's kind of a hybrid between the two? What you'll see is I'll come up to you if I see you doing things, I'll say, hey, I need you to hold that like a half second longer, quarter second longer. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, brother, you're having a real problem breaking this habit. Instead of telling you what not to do, I'll tell you what to do. So I might say, hey, I want you to say 1 or 1/1000 or something after your shot so that you will actually drive the gun through the target. Then I might work something where I'll say like, hey, you're going to shoot, and then I'll tap you to reset. So I'll be like, you're going to pin it till I tap you. You'll pin it, I'll tap your shoulder, you'll reset it. And what we're going to try to do is blueprint that proper technique. What you will see as the shooter is that if you don't do it, the movement of your reticle will be much more violent and extreme than if you do, because you're keeping that gun on target through the entirety of its process. Same thing with the rear bag, all right? If you're anybody lefty here, we postured the fuck out of him. He didn't put his hand up. See that? He was scared. All right. So
Like when I see another Devil's Chosen, we'll just look. We
just see like vampires, bro, just moving around.
We know what time
out
it
of
is.
sight, out of mind, right? So, all right. As a right-handed shooter using the rear bag technique, what you should see is that reticle comes right back and straight on the target. If you don't, your reticle will land high left on the target. All right. High left on the target means that the bag gave out, or you didn't have enough meat on that bag, and that the buttstock was able to find its path of least resistance down and away between the ground, our chest, and our arm there. Once it does that, it pulls the muzzle up and to the left, and you'll see that go wrong. All right, so enough talking. We're here to shoot. Oh, under recoil, all right, the movement of my heel, all right, will move the muzzle left or right. Keeping heels flat allows that lack of movement or reverb post-shot. Gun in line with the strong side of my spine. One, what that does is it puts all of my body weight behind the gun and not part of my body weight behind the gun, just the shoulder. If I do that, I've only got maybe 5 pounds of meat here that's going to push. It's also creating a hinge point, so the gun's going to want to go left naturally. In line with my spine, puts me right there. Once I've built this position, anytime we shift targets, so some of the targets are left or right and it seems minor, I don't want you to just force it until we get to like ret. I actually want you to be on target and shift your hips however little or slightly that needs until you're absolutely sure that that natural point of aim is on target. Again, like I said, guys, we're going to have that good handshake firm grip on the pistol grip. All right, that buttstock is pulled into my shoulder pocket. If you're getting a lot of bounce, like the gun's trying to bounce out of your shoulder a lot, take your elbow, your non-firing elbow, driving it forward. That bone support will drive the buttstock back into your shoulder and keep it from bouncing, especially when it increased cadence later today. All right, load real quick and then show the bipod deal. As I was, show the back. All right, so 2/3. What does that mean for me? So like I said, 2/3, Marine Corps, 2/3. All right, math. Safety rule number 6, never math in public. I'm going to break that a little bit today, but it's going to be okay. Break any one safety rule, it's embarrassing. 2 or more is where we get in trouble. All right. So my 2 fingers go to the gun. And what it's trying to do is keep the gun locked with the bag. If you just grab the bag, the gun can slide over the top of the bag. You're not getting anything out of it, right? 2 go to the gun to keep it on the bag. 3 go to the bag to compress it for that fill and meaty inside. 2/3 of the bag. So you see I've got this ton of meat of the bag to the outboard side. Means when I lock it in, it can't kind of just go through this piece of fabric here and fall off. So 2/3 of the bag keeps media and meat to the outboard side. If you have issues with elevation, especially as we push further out, all right, one technique is you can start to kind of palm down, bring your bag down, although now you're letting it kind of have a place to move, all right? So you're gonna have to play with that. I'm not gonna tell you what your favorite color is there. You're gonna figure that one out on your own. All right, the other option there is to start to kick it out to the side like this. So again, you've lowered it, but you still have that good outboard connection and you're not having any issues with elevation. Good to go? All right, so what I'll do here is I'll come on target, power up real quick. All right, everybody got eyes and ears? All right, so here's what I'll do first. All right, I'm gonna take the rear bag completely out of it, all right, and I will put myself in a really bad position. What I want you to do, can everybody back up so you can see the muzzle a little better? Everybody see the muzzle? I want you to watch how it behaves. It'll be minor, but visible. All right, you guys see where the muzzle went? All right, so for me, looking at the target, I broke on the target and I landed 12 mils to my left. All right, that was that amount of hinge. That didn't seem like a lot here, but 12 mils down there is a lot, right? So now if I simply come back, get in behind the gun like I'm supposed to, gun in line on the strong side of the spine. Again, nothing else but a good handshake, firm grip. All right, now I've only bounced 2 mils off to the left, so I'm pretty much on target, right? Now, if I do a good rear bag, all right, I'll do a rear bag, but I'll let the gun still kind of do what it wants. So I'll support it with elevation, but I'm not gonna do that good 2/3 grip. I'm just kind of holding it. All right, so again, about 2 to 3 mils to the left, but my elevation was good. I didn't spike as high. Now I'm gonna go 2/3 of the, my 2/3 rule. 2 to the gun, 3 to the bag, 2/3 of the bag to the outboard side. Once I'm on target here, I compress into the gun and I'm ready to fire. All right, I'm not leaving the target so I can continue to shoot faster. It's roughly right there, about half second, maybe a little bit lower splits. All right, 200 yards, easy day. What we're going for here is if the gun doesn't move, we see what we need to see, we can go fast. I'm gonna do everything else right, but I want you to watch how the gun sort of behaves under recoil as I give up my grip during the shot, okay? So during follow through, on target, same target. All right, right there, I popped high left, pop to the left 3 mils, pop to the left 4 mils, okay? Now, that pin and reset, that time long, that takes forever. Here we go. Watch how the gun behaves. Gun never left the target, but how long was that, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm keeping the gun still, driving my sights through recoil onto the center of that target and observing my hit or my splash. In the event that I see splash while I'm resetting the trigger, that gives me my mental time to figure out what my correction needs to be. Remember, never math in public? All right, I'm trying to give myself time without starting things in a row. I can start to cheat things forward. I also might have gotten my hit, but it wasn't enough, okay? We talk about with 5.56 guns not being good inside of close range. Well, it's not getting any better downrange, right? So it might be a hit and they might need more. I might need to keep working till a more critical shot or target, if you will. So for this, we're gonna run that hybrid, which is I'm gonna pin it to the rear till it stops moving, off it, back on it as quickly as possible, press the next shot, all right? See how the gun behaves on this one. All right, so it's not leaving the target. I'm not wasting any time. As soon as it's good enough, no more, off it, back on it, and I press the next shot. All right, that's what we're gonna work to today, but I wanted you to visually see the difference because me and Jared, we're gonna be coming up and down the line today, looking at how your gun behaves to figure out what you are or are not doing during your shot process. Good to go? What you're gonna do for me is make a down and dirty range card. These are my numbers. These will not necessarily be your numbers. I'm going to ask you what you're shooting and I'm gonna give you what we're gonna call tri-dope. Tri-dope is super scientific. It's dope, we're gonna try. All right, so we're gonna start off. Your data card is gonna look like this. You're gonna write yard line 1 through 6. I apologize, we don't have intermediate targets here. We only have hundreds. Once there, you're gonna write a column. It's gonna say start, okay? This is gonna be what you're going to dial on and try. For your BDC guys, you're gonna write it a little bit different. Your start is gonna be BDC, okay? Your end is gonna be a anatomy hold on the target. All right, we're gonna pick something like shoulders, hips, chest, head, right? To make it easy so you can figure that out, okay? What's gonna happen here is as we're gonna go out and shoot, all right, we're gonna do this super easy to do. All right, we're gonna make it where we're gonna try a data. So for example, let's say I'm out here, my try data for 300 is gonna be 1.6. Let's say I shoot it though, and I'm like, man, I'm high, I need to come down 0.3, okay? What I'm gonna say when I get done with you, truing you out, or not, excuse me, not truing you out, but getting you dialed in, I'm gonna say, hey, I like that, or that's good, go ahead and record it. You're gonna reach over here to your end data, and you're gonna write 1.3, or what you end with dialed on your gun for that yard line. That's gonna help us generate our card for today. What I'm gonna have you do right now is pull out your phone, go to the app store, all right? You're gonna find a app. It's gonna be a little orange icon. It's Ballistic, Arc, or Geoballistics, all right? You're gonna download that. All right, here's a little dirty secret about apps, all right? Mathematically, they're all powered by the same algorithm, all right? The difference comes down to the bullet library. You guys might find that the applied ballistics library and what's found in geoballistics slightly favors things like Sierras that are shot by the military and or Berger bullets, which is weird. Reinlitz is the chief ballistician for Berger. What you'll find with Hornady Fordoff, you guys use that. It's pretty weird, but those Hornady bullets work really well in Fordoff, right? One, yeah, they've got really good data, but two, like, I mean, if those work good and everything else works a little bit less, it's kind of a marketing tool, okay? Once you download geoballistics, guys, we'll get into it later, all right? But what I'm gonna have you guys do is we're gonna give you tri-dope at 600. We're gonna build your gun and then we're gonna ballistically or velocity true your data at 600 to give us your tri-dope for the rest, all right? And then we're gonna work our way out. So that's how we're gonna work this through. We're gonna work our way out one time just using basic tri-dope and getting you dialed on. When we get to 6, we'll plug it into the computer, run it back through and see where it is. No. What I really like about using the ballistic, what I like about that app specifically for us is that there's a feature at the bottom, if you tap, mode, all right, you can tap map. It drops a Google Earth image down over on top of you. Actually, at first it starts out at ETS in I think Dallas or whatever, because that's like the guy's home range that made the app. So you hit the trash can to delete everything. You hit the little like locating arrow at the top left, and it's going to drop over your blue dot on Google Earth. At that point, it's got a little crosshair. You look over on the right side, it's gonna have a little bust, like shoulders and head of a guy. You're gonna tap that, that's gonna set your position. And then from there, you can just look out and start dropping target pins wherever. Once you've built your gun, if you just tap that target pin, whichever one it is, it's gonna tell you your range to target and also your data for that distance from what you've built in the solver. These solvers, just like your Kestrels, so Kestrels are also called a handheld weather station. When we get through this, and I will help you guys set this up that don't have it, all right, what we're looking for with a weather station, aka station pressure, all right, is a combination of elevation, temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure computed into what we call density altitude, which is a measurement of all those combined in a way that tells us what the density of the air is. We steal this from aviation, which is where they first got it. And density altitude is used to compute fuel burn, all right, based on weight and altitude of the flight. So what you're going to do when you launch that, and it's going to say use local weather station, you're going to find that all of your local airports are going to prop up. You pick the closest one to you, hit it, hit use, and that's going to make sure that we're telling the computer that the data we're gathering today was in these environmental factors, okay? The beautiful part about that is that once you've trued that out, it's a known point in space and time of density, altitude, humidity, which really doesn't have too much of an effect, but your elevation, your barometric pressure, and the temperature, right? If you go anywhere else in the world, like if some of you aren't local, right? Like me, if I turn around and I fly back to New Hampshire right now, all right, if I get there, I hit use and update, it'll take the local weather, update it across what it knows this was, and change my data to now match the new environmentals, okay? So you don't have to go out and collect 1,000,001 different cards for old school dope. Now, running out of a computer or a Kestrel is tremendously slow at speed, okay? So what we do, all right, is I keep a data hard card. What I do is I have a printed out card, okay, for this one's for my MRAD, right? What I've done is I've set this up so that 0 to 1,000 in what we call standard atmospheric conditions. Standard atmospheric conditions is sort of a known thing of a certain temperature, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, a certain altitude, which is going to be sea level, and a certain inches mercury or barometric pressure, which is 29.92 inches mercury. Humidity, honestly, at 1,000 yards, from 100% humidity to 0% humidity, you won't shift it outside of your MOA group, okay? It just doesn't have that much of an effect. In fact, you know how people think when like they call the air heavy in humidity, people think that the air is really thick? It's actually less. The water molecules, as they're bouncing off, all right, actually spread the molecules of oxygen out, so it's easier to punch through, okay? So it's kind of counterintuitive. But what I'll do with this, so this is my static go-to, and the reason I have this is because I grew up old school before we had all this cool shit, and so I would just do on-the-fly mental math of what is the temperature between this and the temperature that I'm shooting in now, and I could do some sort of like legacy style kind of hasty boogery adjustments, okay? What I do with this now is I leave it, but I keep spare blank cards inside. When I get up in the morning prior to like going out on patrol, going on a mission or whatever, what I'll do is I'll pull out a blank card, pull out my Kestrel or my phone, pull up that data for those conditions and write that down. Now, as the day goes on, so like this morning, it was pretty nice and cool, right? Obviously, we've got a little bit of weather blowing through, so we're seeing some fluctuation there. But basically, as it gets hotter throughout the day, my data might start to change at some point where I'm like, if I start feeling hot, all right, that's enough of a change between like my clothing or whatever, I'm like, man, I should probably check my data if I have the time and opportunity. So I'll pull out the Kestrel again, grab another clean sheet, write in my data again. So now I'm always never too far off, even though I might not be like to the minute adjusted or to the minute refreshed, okay? But it's gonna be good enough for what we're looking to do. So that's how we manage. We take the best data we can possibly get from the computer or the Kestrel, but how we manage it in a way that we can be faster time to target when it's time to go to work. Shooter 5, you got data?
Yeah, kinda.
All right, fuck it, send it. One more. Give me a third one. How'd that first shot feel?
Oh, good.
All right. So you went low, high, and good. What's your data dialed to?
0.75
Minutes or mils?
mils.
Are you holding right now?
Yeah.
All right. Uncap your turret. We're going to dial our way through this verified data.
Okay.
Try to minimize the accuracy.
Okay.
You're holding 0.75. Let's go with a 0.8.
Okay.
That's an ATACR, right? So you got 0.1s in there?
Yeah.
All right, let's go let's go 0.7. Well, 5, 7 seconds, right?
Yep.
Server's up, 5 ready. Go ahead and record that data. Numbers up. What do you got for?
Dialed 1.7.
I like it. Let me see what you got. One more. Stack it. Hey, I want you to bring your elevation down to 0.2 though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold center, favor left, fire and ready.
Outlet.
Next shooter,
Outlet.
5. Go ahead, give me left from center,
Oh shit, 400.
1 mil, fire and ready.
2 pounds, yes, everything.
Drop it down, left 0.6. Hit one more, left 0.6. Elevation
77, right?
Next shooter,
Reload.
1.5.
yeah, 1.5 left.
Okay.
Fire ready. Okay, no impact, no idea. Give me one more. Just in the left. Tuck your, give me a 1.2 from center. Fire ready.
Okay.
There we go. Give me one more. I like where you're at, brother. Go ahead. Yeah. Next shooter. All right.
Are you holding on 6?
Jimmy, you ready?
Hold
Yep.
Jimmy's on 6.
You're shooting 77 from Mills. What do you got, Dob on?
5.6.
I like that. I like that. All right, go ahead. Give me left.
2 mils.
No, let's go left 1.2. Fire ready.
Okay.
All right, hold left edge and engage. Wind died on you. Stop the right edge. All right, hold left 0.8 from center. Fire ready. Left 1 mil. There it is. One more, left 1 mil from center. There it is. Elevation's fucking money, bro. I like it. Record that.
So there you have it. There is the fundamentals working from prone, along with some information on developing your own data and developing your own dope. I will say that having people like Alex, experts like Alex or like Jared, having them being on the spotting scope for you gives you so much more confidence when you're making those adjustments, shooting out at distance. So I wanted to leave that interaction between spotter and shooter in there so you guys could see the type of feedback I was getting, so that when you go to a class, that's what you're going to get from them. You have a set of expert eyes and somebody who understands ballistics and who understands what you're trying to achieve. They're the ones giving you the corrections. They're the ones giving you the calls on what you need to do. And for him to just go, boom, 0.2 mils, and then me dialing that adjustment and then be right where I need to be was very confidence instilling and gave me a lot of confidence, not only in my own skill set and the skill set I'm developing, but also in the gun that I was running and my equipment. So took a lot away from there, along with the information he gave about the apps. I came back and immediately started working with some of those and just seeing how that information or that data transferred over to different areas. So yeah, go back, watch this again if you want to make sure you soak in all the information. But if you're interested in taking a class from them, go check out Ridgeline Defense or check out Wrestling Group. I will link both of them down below. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Tap that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you guys in the next one. We got 2 more parts of this coming, so stay tuned.